Good morning. Welcome to Morning Brew with, yes, it's your girl Germaine, and we are here today to talk about some things. This is the beginning of a new month. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe we're already in the month of June. How time is flying by. Where is time moving to? It's moving so fast. But hold on, I was in the process of trying to mute my phone, so I should always have this done so there's no interruptions. But yeah, it's today. It's a new month. So I wanted to talk about, it's Father's Day this month. And so I wanted to kind of center conversations around men, but not just men, everyone. But I really want to be able to have the platform really celebrate our men, you know? And so um I'm sorry, I'm pulling up some things while I'm seeing, but today's brew is going to be, what are you carrying that nobody sees? What are you carrying that nobody sees? And you know what? This message is speaking to my heart as well. So it's not just for me to share a message or a morning brew and it's for everybody else but me. Nope. I always say I'm the first partaker of the messages that go forth. And so, yeah, this message really resonated with me today as I was thinking about all weekend. What am I going to talk about? Hmm, what am I going to talk about? So let me say that again. Today's brew is, what are you carrying that nobody sees? I'm going to take a sip. I'm drinking water. I'm drinking water. And you know what? I prefer drinking water out of a cup and not a bottle. For some reason, it tastes better. Even though I pour the water from the bottle into my cup, it still tastes better. All right, guys. As you're coming in, let me know where you're coming in from. Hey, just stop in the comments, say hello. This is the new month, the month of June. Today is Monday, and we also have in studio with us on Mondays, we bring Teresa Merritt Watson in, who talks about the the blacks in fact of the day. And so we'll bring that up later in the show. We'll have that segment, the blacks in fact segment. But let me get into this because Mondays are strange days. You come off your weekend, you're really pumped up with, I don't know, clarity maybe on how you want your week to possibly look, or how you want to set up your day. And so I'm starting to learn more about, if I structure my schedule, if I structure my time, then I free up some things. I do. And I'm able to touch more and help more. And so with that, I'm not going to hold you long, but let's get into, what are you carrying that nobody sees? So, every day people show up smiling, working, serving, leading, and caring for others while quietly carrying burdens no one knows about. Yep, we learn to put on the mask as we walk out the front door, right? And we engage with America when we're carrying something that's such a burden on us, but we still have learned how to perform and smile you know. So I'm going to really let's talk about that today. Let's get into some things. So, um, sometimes are we carrying financial pressures? Others are carrying grief, disappointment, anxiety, health concerns, family responsibilities, or the weight of expectations. So I want you to know that the truth is that many of us have become experts, like I said, at looking okay while struggling internally. Okay, guys, today's message, I want to say one, let's give ourselves some grace. Two, it is okay to start releasing stuff, letting stuff go. So you can be honest in identifying that very thing that you're carrying that feels so like so much weight on you that it might be time to release and let it go. Yeah, let's get into it. So just because someone is functioning doesn't mean they are free from the weight they are carrying. Today's conversation is an invitation to acknowledge what may be hidden beneath the surface and to remember that strengths is not pretending everything is fine. True strength begins with honesty. And what's interesting, I had a moment this morning. Me and my husband, we were talking, and it was just at a place. I just felt like it was a release point of, listen, I know why certain things are when it comes to my life and the decisions that I made, right? So when you journey back through your life, you start thinking about the decisions that you make in your life. And I just realized, and it was like, you know what? All I know to do in this point, just be honest about what is that thing that has caused certain reactions or certain things that you may have gone through, or the consequences of what you may deal with or have dealt with. And so it was like, listen, I know why. I know why things were the way they were. I know why things are what they are. I know why um I've gone through that. And it comes down to, let me be honest. First and foremost, let me be honest with myself and not be in denial, thinking, oh, I'm gonna just cover it up and keep moving forward while you're still dealing with the weight of whatever it is you may be dealing with. Or it's like, you know what, I am just going to take a deep breath. It is probably causing more pain than good by holding on, carrying it, and not just exposing. The truth is, yeah, this is the truth. This is my truth. And watch what happens once you release that thing that you've been protecting, you've been holding on to, you've been carrying for so long. It has literally shaped and molded your life, you know? Watch what happens when you sit in pure honesty of, I can't carry this anymore. It's killing me more than allowing me to live freely. So I'm going to release it. And watch what happens when you release it. The liberty, the freedom, the clarity, knowledge, open door opportunities. Watch what happens. Listen, everybody's situation is different. People are all going through something, but when I think about this message in itself, what are you carrying that nobody sees internally? It's about, let me do an internal search on myself. Let me go back within self and start asking. We ask questions, how did I get here? But we never ask the question. Maybe you do, but sometimes we never ask the question, what decisions did I make that caused me to end up here? Because in life, when you think, God gives us free will, God gives us the power of choice. So in life, we make choices and we forget about those choices we've made that has a reaction and a consequence that may not show up for years. And so we ask, how did I get here? Well, let's start journeying back through your life. And of lately, I've just really been doing some searching within oneself, within myself. I'm responsible for me, this vessel, right? It's easy for us to point the finger, blame others, or even think that it's somebody else's fault why I'm here, where I'm at. But personally, it all starts with me. I'm a part of every situation, every relationship in my life, which makes me the common denominator. So when things are not going well, when things are going great, whatever it is, I have to look at me and let me really start evaluating the decisions that I made in my life. And I've been in this space of, things are now coming back to my remembrance of, oh my goodness, I remember when I opened myself up, or I had conversations, or I said yes to something. I remember when. And so, with that being said, then you begin to start thinking about where you are, where you've been, and that question, how did I get here? It starts answering some questions. So, maybe it's time to, take a stroll with yourself, you and self. Sure God is somewhere in the midst, right? Because he's going to be the one that helps you get through it. But maybe it's time to have that conversation with self. Yeah. Okay. So you can expose to yourself first. You can be honest with yourself first, right? Let's see who's in our comments today. Gerard Harmon, preach. You're so You are so funny. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I'm telling you, I am the first partaker in my messages, but I just feel like others are going through maybe similar things. And so I'm just sharing. All right, guys, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this segment, pour into purpose. All right, we're going to begin to pour a little more. Let's go a little deeper into this conversation, okay? And if you're in the comments and you want to just jump in the conversation, hey, come on, jump in the conversation. So let's pour into purpose. Not every burden is visible. Not every burden is visible. And we know that. We know that. Like I said, we've learned how to show up in the world, even in our pain, even in our suffering, even in whatever challenges we may be dealing with. We've learned how to show up in the world and make it feel or make it seem like everything's good. I'm just learning, like, you know what? Hey, life is happening for everybody. And you'll hear that statement, life is lifing. Life is life. And, life is doing exactly what life does. And the thing is, I always say that even with self, with people, people do exactly what they want to do. They do, you know? And then when you think about just where you are and what you're going through, it's like, you know what? People may not have any ideas. They may see with their eyes what they see. Their eyes may tell one story, but sometimes it's okay to say to someone, listen, how are you today? Because I'm sensing that you might be going through some stuff. And I guess sometimes I don't take the time to do that or have empathy for others because of whatever we might be going through. But sometimes we need to check in with people. We do. We need to check in and say, you good today? Are you okay? You need a space. You need to talk. You need to just release. I'm here if you need me, right? Sometimes that's all it takes. That's all it takes sometimes. And so, all right, how did I get off that? Hey, Cassandra. Hello, my beautiful niece. Keep on sharing. Yes, let's pour into purpose because God is in control. Yes. Thank you so much, Auntie. All right. So I want to say not every burden is visible. Some of the heaviest loads are the ones people cannot see. Yeah, we know that. We know that. And so, smile can hide exhaustion, productivity can hide pain. Many people are carrying emotional, mental, spiritual, or financial pressures in silence. I say people are really going through. That's why it's don't ever assume just because someone stepped out and they may have their garment on, they may have their mask on for the day. Don't just assume everybody's good, you know? Don't just assume because we have no idea what people are really dealing with. And people are dealing with some stuff. That's why it's so listen, I don't know one's belief system, but all I know is for me, it is so important for me to stay plugged into the main source of my being because I don't know where I would be if I did not have Jesus Christ, God Himself, to plug into my source of being. Yeah, to bring clarity. Yeah. to give clear direction, to correct me when I'm wrong and out of alignment. Yeah, to help me deal with those things that I carry, you know, that I can sit and be completely transparent and honest before God Himself. So it's like, listen, life is not meant to go through it alone. It's pretty much impossible when you think about it, right? All right, guys. So let's pour a little more into purpose. You know, carrying it alone was never the plan. Carrying the burdens alone was never the plan. Many people believe they have to be strong. Um, they have to be the strong one all of the time. Are you the person that someone always comes to because they see a strength in you? They see a strength in you, so they know you're a safe place that they can come to, they can lean on, and dump everything at your feet, and they forget, wait a minute, I'm human too. Listen, I go through stuff. Till you get to a point, it's like, please, I don't have the capacity right now for you to dump all your stuff at my feet because I'm filtering and processing through my own stuff. And sometimes you have to let people know, listen, I don't have the capacity all the time. You know, sometimes you're gonna have to turn that, that dumping or that need over to, listen, I turn it over, God, here we are, me and you, God, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. This is what's going on, right? And sometimes you just have to find that. And I know it's easier to touch and see somebody and want to talk to somebody, but sometimes be considerate of the other person. And have you ever got the person that just starts going into the conversation and they never ask, are you okay? Can we talk? I have some things I would like to share, maybe if you have some time. You know what I'm saying? We never ask for permission. Sometimes we are the person that just proceeds forward, or we're the person on the receiving end that is like, excuse me, let me see if I have the capacity or the space right now to have this conversation. Right? But we just go on in life, just assuming everything's good, right? And so that's why I love this platform. I'm gonna be straight up. I love Morning Brew platform because if it's just me or if it's other people on it, it's an outlet to just be able to share. It really is, and get feedback and just connect with others and see, hey, what's going on with you? You okay today? And that's the question I'm asking for those that may be watching. I am genuinely asking, are you okay today? Or are you in a space that you may just need someone that can just be there to listen to you? You know, are you in a space where you just need to go in a private room and just scream out whatever it is that you need to release? Or are you in a space that it's like, I just need some guidance. I just need some direction. Or will you pray for me? Whatever it is, I just want to know, and it's a general question, genuinely from the heart. Are you okay? Or do you need? What do you need? What do you need to be okay? Okay. All right. So let me finish up this segment because I have Miss Teresa Merritt Watson waiting so we could talk about the Blacks in Fact today. All right. All right. So let me continue on. So, carrying it alone was never the plan. So, many people believe they have to be, oh yeah, they have to be strong. They have to be the strong one. Pride, fear, embarrassment, or responsibility can keep us from asking for help. That is so true, right? Hello, the Poppy J over on Instagram. Hey, Poppy. Good to have you join in. Also, we're talking about today, what are you carrying that nobody sees? That's what we're talking about today. So I just want to finish up with, the weight becomes heavier when we convince ourselves that we must carry it by ourselves. Once again, you don't have to. it is impossible, I believe, to do life by yourself. We need each other. We do. We need each other. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit you need support. I need help. I need help. Those three words. They may seem like they're so hard to ask because in some people's mind, it may show up as if I ask for help, people are going to think I'm weak. No, it actually shows strength. I need help. Just those three little words. I need support. I need help. It's okay. Okay. So let's continue on with our point of purpose. What you acknowledge, you can address. Healing begins when we become honest about what we are carrying. What we are carrying. Healing will begin. We cannot release what we refuse to recognize or acknowledge. You can't. You cannot be free from it. Okay. Naming the burden is often the first step toward finding a solution, support, or peace. Give it a name. Give it a name. And then give yourself grace to be on a journey of finding your strength by releasing yourself and freeing yourself, right? All right, guys, let's get into today's Black Fact. So, what I am going to do in this moment, I'm going to bring on Teresa Watson, who is the visionary behind Blacks In. Okay, and so hold on, y'all. Let me bring her up to the studio. Hello, Miss Teresa.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. I feel like I'm in a release space.
Well, I'm excited because you know um, W. Du Bois is always interesting to me,
Well, hold
and
on. Let me play the video before you get into it. Is that okay?
that is
Can
okay.
Let's share who today's Blacks in Fact is all about. Hold on.
Blacks In. Born on February 23, 1868, W.E.B. Du Bois became one of the most influential scholars, writers, and civil rights leaders in American history. As a co-founder of the NAACP, he used education, research, and powerful words to challenge racial injustice and advocate for equal rights. His groundbreaking book, The Souls of Black Folk, helped shape conversations about race, identity, and opportunity that continue today. Through his work as an educator, activist, and historian, Du Bois inspired generations to pursue knowledge as a tool for progress and change. See you next time on Blacks In.
You know, when I think about him, he aligns with this message, and I'm going to say
He
from this
does.
point, how much or how long did he carry the burden before he released, to be able to change generations? Even to this day, we still talk about his legacy. So let's get into it.
Well, I think he would still be working on the changes that he needed to make, that needs to be made, because here we're in 2026 still talking about how can we unite. And I will say that he and Booker T, they had different opinions about how to bring the Black community together. Now, he was born in Massachusetts, and just 3 years after the Civil War. I think that people need to really keep that in mind, because we were still going through real segregation, discrimination, all these things we were still going to. But this is a man that was really persistent in what he believes and how he was going to get there. First person to graduate, Black person to graduate from Harvard. This is a really big milestone. At the time that he started doing his research in psychology and sociology, and trying to understand the struggle and the experiences and trying to share with people those different things, that was done through UPenn, University of Pennsylvania. And UPenn wanted to know What can they do? What is the struggle? What is exactly is the Black experience? And this is what I still love about this message today. He had a saying called double consciousness, and he
Mm.
called it, and some people call it uh, two-ness, TWONESS. And it's like Black
Okay.
people have two souls, they have two thoughts, and they have to reconcile these things because now they want to be themselves, who they are. But then when they're in other societies and things, they have to end up being these other, bring these other identities in because of white folks, if you
For
will.
acceptance. For
Yeah.
acceptance.
And
It's
so that was one of the things that he really wrote heavy on. And he did, when he did his research, he noticed things that we were doing that was not healthy, and was impacting our growth. And that was how we spent money. He also recognized the idea of how businesses back in the early days when he was doing a research project, he learned in the early days that we were doing great things. We were doing, like Booker T. Washington, his premise was vocation. And so, but W.E.D. Du Bois was said, okay, I think everybody should be educated. So you have those dual things going on, and both of them work, by the way. Both of them work. But the thing of it is, he was telling us, don't do this, and from a financial point, don't do this from a psychological point. But he also showed us how we would be ripped off, if you will. People send people into our businesses to learn our craft.
That's right.
And then they come out of the craft and they get their own shop, they set up, and people support them, the same people that you've been serving for so many years. So he was teaching us to be careful what you do and what you say and how you say it. He was he's one of the founders of the NAACP, which is the National Association for Colored People. And that's something that I think that we too should recognize. That is a very powerful organization to this day. And I think that, in fact, I know that reading the Soul of Black People, that your message today aligned with W.E. Du Bois. As I was reading some things, I was thinking about how this message really bring home some of the issues that we will encounter, our thoughts, our behavior. I was working this company one time, and I was trying to figure out why am I training? And because I had access to everybody's salary, why am I doing the training? And these people making more money than me. It just doesn't make sense. I have this hierarchy position, but they're not. And so a lot of us encounter things like that. I just think that we need to recognize. Now, I can go on about W.E. Du Bois, but I want to make sure that I let you know that he served as an editor of the Crisis magazine. The Crisis magazine actually is a magazine that's sponsored and published by NAACP. He became a real powerful voice in civil rights education and social justice. And he was, of course, I've told you that he was the first one to attend Harvard, but in that Harvard experience, I want everybody to just take and imagine what that experience would look like for an African American to be the first. As I was reading Black History this week, some people had to even sit in the hallway. They got admitted while they were learning. They weren't allowed to sit in the mix with classroom. We had to go the extra mile, is my point, in that educational process. And one of the things that I will leave you with is that book, The Soul of Black People, you may not agree with everything, but the book brings home what the struggle is, what the experiences are, what is going on. And some of the things that he talked about in that book is what is going on to this day.
Yes.
Now, we're talking about 1895, 1903 when he wrote the book, but I'm sure the research was done in the 1800s. But it is really hard pressed to know that we are still
Still at the same
struggling
place.
with the same thing. And
Same.
right now is the people that have never seen, just read about the struggles of Black people when after emancipation, they're beginning to see some of that, because anytime we grow, and white Black women right now are the most educated in the United States, that is a
Yeah.
problem for people.
Oh,
And so,
absolutely.
yeah. And so W.E. Du Bois is a person worth learning about. It will help you realign things and how you view things, especially that two-ness, double consciousness. So I am really grateful to learn about him, and I'm really grateful to share. I get so excited sometimes when
Yeah.
I
When you're able to share, right?
not able to share, but he just sometimes when you're reading, he's written a lot actually,
Mhm.
but when you're reading about him, you have these things where you're saying, is that the way I view it? But then as you look at it, because I did struggle at first, which one was right? And you can have two positions and both of them be right.
Mhm.
Because it's a zillion people. We're a large population, spend a lot of money, and some people can go to vocation and some people can go to college, and both of them do well.
Exactly.
He just wanted you to be educated in some way and watch out for what you're doing and how it's done. Um, so that is subject that you talked about this morning, and I just like that is so crazy. So,
What's interesting is how things just align up. They do. They just fall in alignment. But I appreciate you. I think I tell you quite often, I appreciate you so much. You're so passionate about really sharing the information. You want to talk a little bit about before you go, just some things that you're working on this summer for our young people?
well, we have Black Sand Summer Academy, and it is online for kindergarten through fifth grade, and it is free for the kindergartners. And we're asking all the listeners to actually make a donation to actually just to sponsor a kid. Um, to sponsor a kid for a week is $40, and the semester, which is 7 weeks, is you can do the multiplication 280, and it is going to be a wonderful program. We're bringing in Leo the lion as
Okay.
yes, we're bringing in, and I couldn't do this without Mr. Gerard Herman. I got to say that.
He's in the
Um,
comments right now. He has posted a
he,
comment.
he keeps it straight and real.
He
That's
definitely do.
and real is something that I really respect, which with a great passion for me. It's a great passion for me to be able to share Blacks and be able to talk about reading and math in a way that kids can engage.
Absolutely.
Because everything is engaged. You do need to register. Um, so
I'm
that's
putting it
something
up
that we're
here right
doing.
now. I'm putting up your website is all they can get more
Oh yes,
information. Yes.
Blacks in BLACKS-IN.com. You'll be able to
Yep.
go on that and
For more information, I'll put it on all platforms. Info visit. And then I'll put it up on the screen too. Hold on. But yes, Gerard, who is one to help birth this vision forward, it is incredible. When people see the Blacks in, they see daily. That's not easy. I don't think people realize it's not easy to make sure you got content consistently coming forth. And that's exactly what you guys do. Make sure the content is consistently coming forth. I just posted that in the comments. I'm going to put it up on the screen too so people have your information, and put it over on Instagram as well. And so I think it's incredible what you guys are doing, and bringing forth with Blacks in. Yes, Blacks in. And listen, your best-selling book, just so people know, is still available. So if you have children out there and they want to get some information, Teresa has put out a bestseller book called Blacks in
Black tech.
Thank you. My mom put it right at Blacks in. It's all about us Black people, okay? But yeah, it's Black Tech today, tomorrow, today,
Yesterday and
today, and
tomorrow.
tomorrow. You know what's so funny? I have the book right here. Hold on 1 second. Listen, I don't have to guess. I can just pull it out. Go get your copy. Go get your copy. Go get your copy and find out some information. I tell you, there is so much that I learned. And even though it's for even though she put it out so children can also receive, listen, adults are learning so much too from this book, Blacks In. And then make sure, if you haven't gotten your calendar, make sure you get your Blacks In calendar. But you can see all this information over on blacks-in.com. Just go visit the website, okay? And make sure you register if you have children. It is virtual. It's virtual, right, Teresa?
Yes, it is. And even if you don't have children, you probably know someone in your church and these different organizations. And so we're asking you to share that with them. It would be, so that's what I've been doing. And it looks like it's moving right along. You just got to, support it and get our contributions up. And we're looking forward to an exciting summer.
Absolutely. I just want to say this message before you go. Yes, Gerard said, every time I hear Dr. Watson talk, I realize I'm not Black enough. Going, Gerard.
He's pretty Black, believe me. But I do want to encourage people to start reading about Black history, because we've missed out on some things. And so in this era that we're in right now, the more you know, the better you can handle these situations that we're facing.
Absolutely. You know what's so interesting? I just said this to someone. I think I was talking to Ken, my husband, and there's so much information out there on the internet highway, right? There's so much information that's just being put into the atmosphere, right? And so it is so important to have a spirit of discernment. And also, I said, when you don't educate yourself, you can really hurt yourself.
Right.
That's true. Not knowing can cause a lot of pain.
Yeah. Well, see, I want to say this. I know the shows should be ending right now, but okay. I do want to say, I just keep thinking about how we go to school and how you can indoctrinate a person with the message you want them to receive while you're sending another message. And the thing that I see and I hear is when our kids, and I focus on the kids because that's where all this growth and development start. But when our kids are in school and you're talking about all these people that are not of color, and these people, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Hoover, they've done some things. But if you never hear about Carver, a Booker T, a W.E. Du Bois, John Lewis, you would think that the other people are more important than you. Absolutely. So if you send a message to children by not saying anything.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I want people to understand. It's not you. I had to explain the fact that I'm not anti-white. I'm just pro-Black. You know what I mean? Which is a big difference.
It's important. You want to equip our people with the knowledge. And you know what? You're right. It's like you use the word indoctrination. Yes. And you also stated that things that are being said, but what is the message that's being conveyed in the information that's not being said? You're still conveying a message. And so, when I think about, for a lot of the people that we learn in school, Do we realize in most cases there's always an African American Black person right by their side where they really clone that information, they get that information from, and then they take on the role of owning it?
Well,
Think
that's
about
a fact because we were not allowed to patent our things. We were
absolutely.
not. We were not allowed, and so a lot of the things that you see in the agriculture industry was designed, built, made by Black people,
Absolutely.
and but we couldn't patent anything. I even look at
So
the
we lose credit for the very things we create, and
and
it's
make no money
literally,
from it.
it's
I'm even,
literally.
you
I
know,
mean, this is a whole nother morning brew discussion. So this is one of those panel discussions. Let's bring a few
yeah,
people on to talk about it
yeah. I
because
mean,
that's why it's so important for us to know history, for us to know the story. Um, man, we
but
have
I
some
think
great
that
minds, and we don't always show up like that.
well, I do believe that there's still places in America now that has a stopgap for African American research and knowledge and things. And I learned that a long time ago, just by having a vast majority different classes of friends and how they have done research and gotten this opportunity. Others do research and there's a block to say you can't do this because you're working here where other people have gotten a pass on it.
Yes.
So I think that we will get back to the place where we're doing research and inventing, and we're still doing it, but at the magnitude that I would like for our kids, because you can indoctrinate a person and you suppress their creativity, you suppress their ability to grow in those spaces, and that's what we want to, what you call it, unleash to our children. We want to say, oh man, because they had it at one point. I mean, you look at Dunbar in Washington D.C. Them kids were coming out of there the most brilliant,
Minds.
testing better than anybody. But we got to know what to do if we're growing to the point that it is upsetting to a segment of people, not to all people, but to a segment. And so what we have to do is say, okay, this is what we had to, Greenwood, North Carolina, and Wilmington, Florida, Georgia, these places were burnt down or underwater, what have you. We can't have that kind of cycle again when we start flourishing in these spaces. So we got to have something that we have to be able to do. Now, I don't have the answer to it, but it has to be, we can't encounter that kind of behavior again.
There's always going to be adversary. There's
Yeah.
always going to be those that are just mad for no reason at all. But it's important to press through. What is, and I'm going to bring it back, and I don't know everybody's belief system or not, but it's, when I think about it, what is God after? What is he calling for? What is your purpose? He created you for a
Yes.
specific purpose. You're here for what? Right? And so, but also when I think about, just really focusing on our young people, the children, we got to be so careful because, I was saying there's so much that's now in just everybody's face that's taking place in the world today.
That's
And they're
true.
after our young people. They're after our young people to do just what you said, indoctrinate them into a space, a place, whereas they rob them from whatever that purpose may be. So it is important that we continue to pray to cover, our young people, our young minds, and sometimes having some empathy. People are going through some things, and sometimes they may not know how to ask for help, but they might need help, you know? And so let's continue to educate. Let's continue to share, to let people know, listen, we are a powerful people.
That's
We
true.
are.
That
We
that is
are.
true.
And so on that note, listen, we done touched on several different morning brew topics that we can get into. But Teresa, it is always a joy and a pleasure having you stop by Morning Brew for coffee and conversation so we could talk about Blacks in the fact of the day. Okay, so the information, just so everybody know, please make sure you go visit Morning Brew, not Morning Brew, It's in the comments. Oh, well, yeah, visit Morning Brew, but it's in the comments right now for you to go over to blacks-in.com to get more information. If you have young people and you're trying to figure out what do they need to be working on this summer, this would be the perfect program for them to get some information, for them to engage, for them to see how powerful they are, young minds, right? And that they can do all things. And
Yeah.
so, please make sure you go by, get some more information, and see how to engage with
Okay.
Blacks in Academy. Yay,
And
Teresa.
read W.E. Du Bois books.
Yes. When we give these Blacks in facts, don't leave it just there.
Yes.
Continue to educate yourself and gain more knowledge, okay? And see
Yes,
how it
that's
may
what I
align
like.
with your life. So, on that note, listen, Teresa, I can hold you all day with me, but you're a busy woman. And I'm about to, I already started calling you doctor. You know what I realized? I'm going to say this real quick. You are wrapping up your doctoral program.
Yeah.
It is a lot of hard work.
Yes.
I made a decision. There's a lot of people being honored with doctor's degrees and stuff like that, paying for it. I made a decision and I said, I am not going to be so quick to call people a doctor, even if they are adamant about you calling them doctor when they just did not go through the labor pains. They did not go through the pain of going through classrooms, of going through the books, gaining the knowledge, writing that thesis. I've heard stories and what it took for people to get through that. And
Yeah.
I just made a decision. I'm just not doing it no more. For those that have paved the way, those that have
It's not an
gone
easy journey.
through. It's not an easy journey.
Nah.
I just said, let me put some respect on them. That's gone through,
So,
And so, but with that being said, yes, we are praying for you as you complete this
yes.
doctoral program and your thesis and everything is approved and published and all that good stuff. So kudos to you. Hats off to you.
I
Yes.
hope I can call that in at least by the end of June. So,
Amen. You know what? You just put it in the atmosphere. So claim it, own it, and speak to it. It is done. It is finished.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right. All right, Teresa. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you.
Anytime, Morning Brew is here.
I love talking Black. Okay.
Gerard, don't say anything. Listen.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You have a great day, okay?
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh my goodness. So guys, let's bring it to a close. Before we do, I just want to talk about our reflection questions. I want to leave 2 questions for you like we always do. I appreciate her so much for taking time out of her busy schedule to come by and share with us all. Blacks in fact. Okay, so these 2 reflection questions, listen. Number 1, what burden have you been carrying silently that you have not acknowledged? What burden have you been carrying silently that you have not acknowledged? Number 2, what is one step you can take this week to lighten the load? Lighten the load, seek support, and create a space for healing. Let me say that again. Question number 2, what is one step you can take this week to lighten the load, seek support, and create space for healing? Okay, I'm gonna leave those with you, okay? And now let's go into our final sip as we bring as we bring today's morning brew to a close. Yes, what are you carrying that nobody knows? So listen, if you're just chiming in and you want to catch the full message, make sure you just go over to our YouTube channel, Morning Brew with Germaine. Make sure you click the subscribe button, the bell for notifications, and hey, maybe even a like, right? So we'll take it. But yes, so let's get into this final sip. Sometimes, the strongest people in the room are carrying the heaviest burdens. I want to say that again because if you felt anything, because you are that person that may be the strongest person in the room, but you may be carrying the heaviest burden. So let me say this, the strongest person in the room are carrying the heaviest burdens. The challenge is not to carry more. The challenge is to recognize when the weight is becoming too much. You don't have to prove your strength by suffering in silence. You do not need to have you do not, excuse me, you do not have to earn rest. You don't have to carry every burden alone. Listen, life is hard enough. You do not have to do it by yourself. Today, give yourself permission to pause, reflect, and release what no longer belongs on your shoulders. Can you do that? Can you give yourself enough grace today to pause, reflect, and release what no longer belongs on your shoulders? You're carrying weight and you're carrying burdens that don't belong to you. Let it go. Listen, I know we want to be a help to people, and sometimes you could be causing more harm to them or harm to yourself. Listen, give people the space and the capacity, to be able to know how to call out for help for themselves. You don't have to carry their burdens for them. No, God said, lay your burdens before me, you know, lay them before God. So by you being God in the situation, now you're taking on more than you need to. Listen to God, give your burdens to God, and let people be responsible for giving their burdens to God. Can we do that? Yes, let's try that. It might loosen you up a little, might make you a little lighter. Let's do that, okay? All right. So, guys, we're at a place, you know how we do, we sip slow. So, let's take inventory of what you are carrying. First step, take inventory of what you're carrying. Sip deep. Be honest. Be honest about what is weighing on your heart. Okay? And sip with purpose. Sip with purpose. Choose one burden to release, delegate, pray about, or seek help with this week. I'm just asking that you treat yourself good. This is part of self-care, right? One burden that you can delegate, pray about, seek help with this week. Okay. Because purpose grows best when we stop pretending we're fine and start being honest about what we're carrying. Guys, thank you so much for chiming in today. I hope something resonated with you today. I know for me it did. I feel a little lighter. I do. But thank you so much for stopping by. Hey, if you know someone that may be going through something, you know what? It's okay. Send them, share this with them. Just go over to YouTube, Morning Brew with Germaine. Click the share arrow and just share this message if you know you may not have the words to say, but there's someone you know could really benefit from hearing this Morning Brew conversation today. Thank you so much. Appreciate you and love you all. Be safe, whatever you decide to do today. Have a great day. Bye-bye.